Jai Mother. Charanam Sharanam Ramambige, Charanam Sharanam Trayambage. At the feet of Divine Mother Sree Rama Devi by Mrs. T.N.K Nair, the Divine Ministry audio book, Part 5D. It was on a Monday morning that the visit to the temple took place. With a good number of devotees from Mangalore and other places, we left for the temple at about 9 in the morning. For the past few days, the town of Trichur was astir, hearing and seeing the divine leelas and bhavas of Mother. These Mahabhavas mentioned in the scriptures were now made perceivable to the human eyes. So it was that there were thousands of people gathered in the temple grounds, and a grand ceremonial reception was arranged for Mother. The temple entrance and inner pathway were beautifully decorated in the traditions of Kerala. Lovely glowing silk umbrellas were displayed on either sides, and all over were festoons of golden palm leaves. Musicians were waiting at the entrance to greet Mother with Vadya Ghosha. The air was electric with expectations, all craning their heads for the first glimpse of Mother. There were cries of Amma Devi as Mother's beautifully bedecked car arrived, drove in, and slowly came a halt near the entrance. As Mother got down from the car, crackers boomed, conches were blown, and the Nadaswaram started in glad welcome. It was a public avowal of homage to the Saguna presence of Devi. One of the silken umbrellas were brought to the car. Mother, with her usual humility, declined the use of it, but the devotee kept behind, assiduously holding up the silken umbrella. The procession moved forward, Mother in the center, surrounded by devotees and huge crowd following. Some were still chanting the name of Devi. The bhajan arranged in the inner courtyard became audible now, melodious songs in praise of Devi. Completing the outer pradakshina, Mother entered to the inner courtyard where the shrine was. It was already crowded with singers and devotees, but the huge crowd somehow managed to get in. We could see that Mother was already in a mood of great exaltation. She stood in the center, facing the small doorway to the shrine, where the Vigraha of the goddess was clearly visible. Suddenly we heard a thrilling call from Mother, "Ah, Devi!" And with that she was absorbed in samadhi. It was glorious sight indeed. The small path to the shrine was lit with numberless lamps. Multicolored flowers formed a canopy overhead, and the deity was shining with gold ornaments and garlands. All the deepams were glowing, illumining the awesome and splendorous figure of Mother Kali. The singers fell silent, and a deep, solemn hush prevailed. All eyes were gazing at the resplendent Devi inside, and then coming back to the simple, beautiful, marble-like figure of Devi outside. They were both in absolute union, while we remained apart, puny mortals bound to her in dumb adoration. The silence was broken after some time with songs in praise of Shakti. Mother appeared to descend to Artha Bhahyavastha, a state of partial relative consciousness, and took up the chant of Om Shakti. Her glorious voice rose, clear and true, and the very air seemed vibrant with Shakti. Mother's body seemed as light as a feather, and the pupils of her eyes receded. One moment she was in the austere pose of Nataraja. As exultant and powerful, she danced the Tandava. Another moment, Mother Kali was there in her, Kali the all-conquering warrior, Kali rending aside the thick veil of illusion. No more were we in the everyday prosaic world. Breaking the silence, Mother's voice rang out, describing the Sri Chakra, Devi's symbolic abode, and then the description of Kali herself with her mighty emblems. At that moment, impelled by the divine manifestation, an aged devotee of the temple approached Mother with folded palms and tears flowing from his eyes. He began to recite the famous verses composed by Sri Shankara in praise of Devi. Bhavani Tvam Dase Mai, the meaning of which is the devotee who wished to pray to thee. Thus, O Bhavani, may thou cast thy merciful glance on me, thy servant, and says, only O Bhavani, may thou on him immediately, thou whose feet are worshipped by the brilliant crowns of Mukunda, Brahma, and Indra, bestowest thine Sayujya state. In that aged devotee, the inner realization must have dawned that he was in the presence of his chosen deity. He was totally oblivious of the deity in the shrine, absorbed as he was in the Saguna form before him. Soon after he began chanting the verses, Mother, who was facing the shrine, turned and, still in samadhi, sat on the ground facing him as if accepting his worship. As he ended the verses, Mother declared in ringing tones that she would attract to her all true bhaktas of Devi and grant them refuge wherever they may be. Uttering the name of Kali once more, Mother lapsed into silence. Emotion overpowered the devotee who felt prostrate at that lotus feet. Mother's form glowed with radiance. The face became a fiery red and the eyes appeared enormous. The body itself seemed to expand, and her mane brought to our minds the terrible aspect of Kali, for whose propitiation yagas and yajnas were done, whose form the yogis contemplated in the citadels of their hearts, and by whose power the cosmos came into existence. A heavenly fragrance wafted in waves from Mother, flooding our hearts with bliss. Suddenly we saw Mother disappearing into the shrine, the sanctum sanctorum of the temple. The door to the inner shrine was small, the pujari having to bend double to get in, and the floor was slippery with oil. There were innumerable deepams, and only one who was familiar could enter, albeit with care. Yet Mother had entered easily, and that too with no outer vision, as the pupils of her eyes had gone upward. Behind the Vigraha, it was pitch dark. In that confusion, someone whispered to my husband that there was a legend that behind the deity was a fathomless well. But at that moment, no human consideration could disturb our minds. All this happened in a moment, and as we gazed into the shrine, we saw the enthralling sight of Mother embracing the deity. Standing behind the Vigraha, her golden face shining beside the dark-hued face of Kali, Mother's ivory hands were also held in Varabhaya Mudra. People were pushing and crowding in their frenzied attempt to see that unique sight, to get a glimpse of the Saguna and the Archa forms, in a grand and hallowed union. The temple and surroundings rang with cries of Devi Sharanam. Some were rolling on grounds in ecstasy, others were sobbing brokenly, yet others chanting the Devi's names. We felt waves and waves of power engulfing us. Rays of light seemed to emanate from Mother's face, while the Vigraha of Kali seemed to pulsate with life. The cries of Devi Sharanam continued. Many who had come casually were overpowered with devotion. Charanam Sharanam Ramambige, Charanam Sharanam Trayambage, Charanam Sharanam Ramambige, Charanam Sharanam Trayambage, Charanam Sharanam Ramambige, Charanam Sharanam Trayambage. Jai Mother.